Hi, Joe Solari here with the Business of Writing, and today we're going to interview CJ Perry of the Art of the Arcane. He runs a free service to help authors build their email list. I thought before we got into the interview it'd be worthwhile to just highlight some of the things that we talked about that got mixed into our conversation. The essential stuff that you as a beginning author need to have in place to build your list. The premise is that the best place for you to find your fans for your books is on the mailing lists of authors in a similar genre. To do that, you have to have something to give away so they can be introduced to the product that you're going to be selling, a short story, a novella, even your first book. I believe it, my personal opinion is that for you to get that book out in front of them first, into an audience and get some criticism is much better than just dumping it onto Amazon and then finding it out through the rating system there. Putting that aside, if you have that book or that short story, along with that you need your email service. Again, we'll be talking about free options in there. And look to use some giveaway services to help build the list. Again, we're talking about free options here. And then once you do have some names on your list and you can feel comfortable sharing the fact that you have 500 or 1,000 names on a list, how to go about doing some list swapping so that you can really start building up some solid fans. So let's get into this interview because it's a great one. Hope you enjoy it. Again, if you do, please comment. We always respond to questions, and like us and join this channel. Hey, it's Joe Solari with the Business of Writing, and today we have a special guest, CJ Perry of the Art of the Arcane. How you doing, CJ?
Not too bad. How are you, Joe?
Good, good. First off, I want to hear about your background and then share with us kind of like what made you create this and what you're trying to do to help new authors.
My background, I'm an author, fantasy author, dark fantasy. I have 2 books out right now. Third one's coming out soon. And I kind of did the worst possible book launch for the first one, which was to say, get a nice cover, which was the good part, and then publish it on Amazon, but don't tell anybody. And wait for the sales to roll in, which they never did. And I finally talked to a fellow author.
When was this?
October 2016 is when I released it. Started complaining to anyone who would listen, and I finally started getting some advice back, and some of the best advice I got was to start a newsletter. And I didn't want to. I mean, I didn't. Well, I'm going to talk about me, the famous author, the guy who just released a book that no one knows about. Who wants to hear that? Talk about my kids. I did that at first. I talked about my kids. I actually got an email from somebody saying, I just read 8 paragraphs about how your daughter was sick. Please don't contact me again. I said, thank you for your criticism. I'll consider that going forward.
Yeah.
But I needed more content, something to put in there. And free books was a great way to go. I mean, a lot of people will argue then you've got people signing up for your newsletter just for free books, not to hear anything about you. Well, there was nothing to hear about me. I could talk about my book in every single newsletter, but then I would start losing the people who've been with me a while. So I started with 0, and I read up how do you get a newsletter list, and people said, put it in your Twitter profile, put it everywhere. So I did, and like 5 weeks later, I had like 10 subscribers, and all of them were my family.
And they didn't read it either.
So then somebody recommended InstaFreebie to me, and or BookFunnel. And I went with InstaFreebie because it seemed to me that they did a little more of advertising for your book on their own. So I went ahead and signed up with InstaFreebie, and I started getting I jumped in a couple of giveaways, and I started getting some subscribers. But and what InstaFreebie does is fantastic for new authors because you get 25, 35, 100 authors all in one room, so to speak, sharing their influence with you, so that your measly newsletter of 25 subscribers now suddenly reaches your reach has been astronomically increase to 100,000,
Mm-hmm.
200,000, 300,000 people that are all going to come back and look at this group sale or group giveaway where your book is located. So, you pull in people who might be fans from other authors,
Mm-hmm.
which is part of the spirit of the indie author movement, I like to say. It really is a movement. This idea that there is enough readers to go around for all of us,
Mm-hmm.
and that it's a rising tide lifts all ships type of behavior. And
Sure. Well, and I think on that point too is like, I have not seen any evidence that shows that any author, this group of authors or any other group of authors, can keep up with the voracious appetite of these readers. Right?
seriously,
There's like, you give them a book and they're like, well, where's the next one?
and I thought the reader had disappeared for a long time. But people who participate in these giveaways, I mean, they say better than 90% of all free books that are downloaded are never read.
Okay.
And I believe that to some degree. I think it was Kobo that did that research and came up with that if the book was free, it had a very low chance. The higher the book cost, the better chance that somebody would actually read it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this Insta freebie book funnel, Art of the Arcane crowd of people that go around, they read it because I get emails back about books all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know how accurate that free books never get read thing is.
Yes. So here's some evidence that I have. So in my newsletter that I set up, there's a point where I survey people. And first off, there's the average book read is 3.5 books a month, but it's skewed. There's a lot of people that are reading 10 or more books a month.
Right.
Okay. So I think that the books are read for sure. Whether you're going to convert them into a paying customer, that's a different story.
Or how much of the book is read. They might read
Well, yes, yeah, right. Like I know they're reading mine because they're commenting about typos and stuff. So
I get my first book was really, really dark. I don't know what possessed me to think that the first thing I should do is something that will freak people out. I don't know why I thought that was a great idea, but it's properly labeled dark fantasy or whatever. I know people are reading mine too, so they get yelled at a lot. And it's great. I love that they care that much about the characters, or they feel the need to come at me about it. But so if you're a new writer, the best thing you can do is go look for one of those services. Go look for group giveaways. And then there's, of course, newsletter swaps too.
Mm-hmm.
Newsletter swap is where one author says, I'll put your book in my newsletter because it seems similar enough that my audience might like it. Just put mine in yours in return. Swap. And if you're a new author and you don't have, I would say at least 2,000 subscribers, somewhere in that neighborhood, it's going to be really hard to find a swap with other people because there's limited space in their newsletters. They don't want to inundate their newsletter with 25 books. So I'm not going to take the guy with 300 subscribers when there's somebody else who has 10,000
Mm-hmm.
and is also and has a similar book. So it's really tough. The way I got started was by begging. I know I'm not worthy, but if you would please put me in your newsletter, I promise to do a blog post, a review, put you in my newsletter, and then tell everyone I know how great you are. And that got me a few. That did.
Yeah. Well, on that same topic, what's your opinion of like newsletter size? Like you see folks that'll say they've got 20,000 names on a list, but do they even know what their click-through rate is?
Well, if you have 20,000 subscribers, chances are that you know really well how to use MailChimp, MailerLite, Elastic Email, or Constant Contact. Whatever one you use, you know how to use it. You have 20,000 subscribers. At this point, you're probably paying for the privilege to have them to one of those companies.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few out there that actually are free all the way up to several tens of thousands of subscribers, but they're harder to use. So chances are, yeah, they know what their click-through rates, they know what their open rates are, but I see behind the curtain a little bit. Like somebody fills out the form for the giveaway and it was 15,000 subscribers, but they make a mistake and start the form over again. And next time it's 18,000. And I don't think I see the first submission or whatever. So some of those numbers might be a wee bit inflated. A lot of them aren't. I know plenty of authors that's legit. I've shared with them, and I know that it must have hit in front of 10,000 people.
Yeah.
So, but those numbers might be a little inflated. But if you've got numbers that big, yeah, you know what your numbers are. You know what your click-through rate is. You have it down to a science because it's not easy to get 20,000. Either you're doing it forever.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we kind of dive into kind of some stuff that the new authors can do, before we got on, we were talking about the new regulations with the EU. You want to give some folks a little heads up as to what they need to be thinking about with their mailing list and what's a GD? What's the?
Well, the GDPR.
GDPR, yeah.
The GDPR. Oh, what they need to do with their mailing list. Oh man. Right now, the first thing I would tell everybody is don't panic. Don't flush half your list. Well, I don't know where I got these from. Don't do that just yet. The dust is kind of still settling with this new law, and there's a fairly consistent stream of information out there that seems to have a good handle on this. One of the suggestions that has been made is go ahead and send an opt-in email to all of your current subscribers and try to get them to resubscribe. So this way you can show that they gave consent. That's the right thing to do. That's the right thing to do. But as of right now, again, I wouldn't panic. It only applies to all of your people on your list that are from the EU or that you'll be emailing in the EU. You can separate that list. You can change the rules for the people in the EU. I mean, if you know what you're doing, it's a little bit of work.
Sure.
But right now, again, the law doesn't kick in until the 23rd of May. I wouldn't start panicking right now. Let's wait for some of the dust to settle on how it's being handled. MailChimp, I know for a fact, is helping people with that already. There's new uneditable portions of their forms. You just click a button that makes it GDPR compliant. Things like that. So if you're using one of those mailing services and you're not just emailing 10,000 people from Gmail every day,
ouch.
Then they're looking out for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll definitely say that. It's guys like me who are running giveaways and collecting email addresses and things like that really have more work to do. As far as an individual newsletter person or whatever, just if you're really concerned, send an email to MailerLite or MailChimp or whoever you use, and they'll guide you. You'll be all right.
Yeah, I've noticed there's like some of those services are starting to react and change things, and say that they've got the opt-in panels because they're the guys that are going to get named in lawsuits first because they've got money, right? Right. You'll be named in it too, but it's that's the money they're really going after.
Yeah. And, as authors, a lot of the time we can kind of claim innocent victim status a little bit. Hey, I was just following the rules that they set in place. And that's pretty much the truth.
So, like I mentioned, I've used your service before. And so what I've discovered is, and I've done all kinds of stuff. I've spent a lot of money trying to figure this thing out, right? Like I've even tried to the fastest way I've figured out to blow money in advertising is Snapchat.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. Puts hands down everything to shame as far as how quick you'll see your money evaporate.
I don't even know how that works. Is it a pay-per-click type of thing on Snapchat?
It's a pay-per-click thing, and I'm going to be putting out a thing on it pretty soon. I'm just getting my data together. But I went through over $100 in a matter of minutes because those people get on their phone and they start swiping, right?
Yeah.
But you know, they don't do anything other than swipe their phone. So they swipe, you get paid. It brings them to your page, but they don't buy anything. Like,
Right.
you know, they're too busy looking at pictures of their friends. They're not going to stop and read a book. But like, I needed to. Point is that like I've figured out some ways to blow money, and in doing that, right, like it points me at what I can help other people see as ways not to blow money.
Right.
And you know, certainly I think the best thing you can do to sell books is write more books. That's number one. Like just that, getting Amazon's algorithm working in your favor, and
Yeah.
that, you know, keeping your fans happy with content. Probably number one is going to, but the next thing I really feel is more than advertising is newsletters. So I'd like to just kind of get your input on like, what are some of the things that you see are good and bad practices for a new author with newsletters, and how they should go about, say, their first 6 months of building up that newsletter.
First thing I'll tell you is if you're trying to build a newsletter, you're not going to get subscribers from Twitter. You're not going to get subscribers from Facebook. You're not going to get subscribers from anywhere. You're going to get subscribers from your fellow indie authors. That's where you're going to get your subscribers from. It really is hard work to get them on Twitter. You might have to spend money on advertising, things like that. You get a lot of followers, but chances are signing up for your newsletter is not, there's no reward to it.
Mm-hmm.
The reward is what? Who are you? Nobody knows. And they're not willing to even so much as get an email or take the time to fill out a form for you. Not yet. Let them read your work first, but you can't get them to read your work until you get them in your newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
So go with the authors who already have an established fan base or an established newsletter list and beg them. And there's no nice way to put it. The truth of the matter is that that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to humble yourself a little bit and tell people, hey, look, my newsletter list is just getting off the ground. I really could use some help. You'd be surprised how charitable the indie author community can be.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be step number one, get a couple newsletter swaps, something like that. If you want to spend a little bit of money, InstaFreebie, BookFunnel, BookCave, places like that. You get into a group promo and your reach is suddenly hundreds of thousands or even 1 million subscribers that are going to come to that page, look at all these free books, and maybe select yours out of that list and sign up for your newsletter. Those are the two primary ways to get started. Anything other than that gets deeper into marketing. These are the real simple beginner steps.
Mm-hmm.
Sign up for InstaFreebie. Of course, you're going to need a MailChimp account or MailerLite or Elastic Email. Constant Contact has commercials on the radio every 10 minutes. So, you know, they're out there. So mailing service, some kind of group giveaway promotion service, and then newsletter swaps. And the best way to find those is probably on Facebook. Just type in newsletter swap into the search, and you'll get at least 2, 3, 4, 5 groups in your genre that you'll be able to find.
Do you have a few groups you think are better than others?
There's actually, they're so all similarly named. I wish I could pull one out right now. But like, this is the best. But I know there's one run by Dean Wilson.
Okay.
I never failed to get a swap in that group. But literally some of the groups are just called newsletter swaps and cross promos. So anything like that with more than 25 people, or even with just 25 people, is the place you want to look. You just post an image of your book so people know what kind of cover they're going to be showing. Your newsletter size, you know, even if it's nothing, tell people that, but remember to beg. And then a little bit about your book, where they can find it, stuff like that. So they have enough information to make an educated decision about whether or not your book is one they want to share.
You mentioned book covers. That's a pretty big deal, right?
The old expression, don't judge a book by its cover, is only advice because everyone judges a book by its cover. Everyone. I think there was some statistic done by somebody somewhere that said 72% of readers will make their decision whether or not they're going to get a book on the cover alone.
Oh, yeah. I don't doubt that at all.
If you're going to make it yourself, you better be a graphic designer and a damn good one.
Well, and I think everybody's upping their game, right?
Yeah.
I'm at the point where I'm looking at some of these graphic designers and like, you're not in the game.
Yeah. But they still sell their covers.
Yeah.
They still sell their covers because it's hard to make your own.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But there's a lot of good cover makers out there. And, knowing this after doing this is like, I would now give them the choice of spending $200 on it, Facebook ads, or $200 on a book cover. It's hands down the book cover.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because the book cover will sell for you forever.
Yep.
$200 in Facebook ads is less than, it's like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So depending what your budget is, but if you're having trouble finding, I really did have a lot of trouble finding a cover designer for a long time, because I just didn't have the kind of money that people wanted for that. Believe it or not, you can find starving artists that are willing to do a book cover for you for $50-$60 just because they know their work will be on the cover of a book that just might do something.
Yep.
You can find them on Fiverr. You can find them on DeviantArt. You do a little bit of searching to find the right one. You're going to kiss a lot of frogs. So you might end up spending almost as much anyway, but you'll have somebody for book 2, book 3, 4. And you'll have a relationship and a lower price than you probably would have if you found a pro who's been doing this 10 years.
Good point. So how about a little bit about how you can help with Art of the Arcane? How can you help a new author who's, and what kind of budget should they expect to, kind of get some results with Art of the Arcane?
The premise that I wanted to make Art of the Arcane on is the same, or the foundation I wanted to build it on is the same foundation I think that the indie author community is being built on, and that's reciprocal altruism. You do something nice for me, I do something nice for you. There's something nice that authors do for me is that when they share the giveaway in their newsletter, they bring hundreds of hits to my site. Where I can have, I don't have a ton of content on there right now because there's so much work just running the giveaways, and I'm all by myself. I have a couple of people who like, hey, do you need me to go proofread something and stuff like that? But other than this, I have Nicole Grotepas who works with me, and Susan Morton who just started working with me. Both have the kindness of their hearts. Other than that, though, it's me by myself. I don't have a ton of content, but it brings a ton of hits to my site, and it's giving me the opportunity to sell featured spots like you got. Put you at the top of the list. It's $20, and you'll get more results that way than you would in general population, as it were. But anyway, so the thing that those authors do for me is bring hits to the site and offer me the opportunity to sell them featured products. The nice thing that I do for them is try and get them subscribers. I organize, I get all the authors together. I make sure everybody shares. A lot of people were really edgy with me in the beginning because I send a reminder the day before, you're going to share tomorrow. Send a reminder the day of, you're supposed to share today.
Yeah.
It's the day I send you an email that says, hey, you didn't share. And please let me know when you do plan to share, because everybody has to carry their weight. I really believe that's the only way it works. Don't come to one of our giveaways if you don't intend on sharing, you don't intend on paying attention to what's going on with the giveaway, because we want active, engaged people really trying to help one another. And that's really the only thing that you'll have to do as an author if you come to me is you fill out the form, wait for the email saying to share, and share. That's it. And you get to pick the day that you share. That's it. It's a no-brainer. Other than that, you're linking to InstaFreebie or BookFunnel or getting one of our landing pages, and the subscribers just get added to your list. couldn't be easier. Insta freebie, book funnel, all those, they have tons more things to offer you. Please don't say that I'm telling you to stay away from those. I link to them all the time because they are great services. And we are not them, not by any stretch of the imagination. This thing has been, I just decided to do one giveaway and to try and get myself some subscribers. And I was like, maybe I could, really capitalize, put my book at the top and all that stuff. And I got 65 authors who signed up. I was like, wow, okay. And it was really kind of hard coordinating them. And then next month, people were like, are you doing another one? So yeah, sure. Oh, can you do a romance one? Yeah, okay, I'll do 2. No big deal. And now this month, which is 6 months later, we're doing 6 giveaways in May.
Wow.
We're talking anywhere between 40 to 60 authors per giveaway. It's hundreds of authors to deal with. So I've been kind of laying track in front of a train that's already going. You know what I mean? The track isn't done yet. I'm still trying to lay. It just grew so fast. It's insane. So it's really been awesome, and I like to thank every single author that ever signed up for one of our giveaways. And welcome any new author that wants to do it. A lot of these giveaways that people run have minimum list sizes and stuff like that. And I don't forget what it was like to beg people to get a newsletter swap or to get in on a promo or something like that. I don't worry about how your book is ranked. I don't care about how many subscribers you have. As a matter of fact, anybody who came to us with 0 subscribers and walked away with a couple hundred, I know I will see them again. I know they will get featured spots. I know that.
Yeah.
So new authors are my favorite because they're the most loyal.
Well, and I participated in yours. I tried a couple others because part of this thing for me was research, and I didn't have anything. I wasn't bringing anything other than I could pay for that featured spot, right? And it wasn't. I mean, what's the cost of a featured spot?
$20.
$20, yeah, right. So I mean, that's what it cost for a month on one of these other services, and I got results. And I frankly, I can't remember where I saw your promotion, but I did sign up for one of your promotions. It was a paid deal because I had 0 names, and I had a book, and so I used that.
Start with us.
Yeah, right. So, and I think I did. It was a promotion where I think it was a free promotion, but then you could like pay to be like in the top bit.
Right. Be featured at the top of the page. Be the first one people see.
Yeah. So that's what I did. And then it resulted for me in about 350 names in maybe it was 30, 40 days. It's pretty
14.
quick. 14?
14 days. All of our promotions are 2 weeks long.
Okay. Now, the other thing you're doing is you're helping facilitate swaps between authors.
Yeah.
Do you want to even talk about that, or?
Yeah. Oh man. That's
are you going to break out in hives thinking about all the work you've been doing on that?
Newsletter Swap Digest was, when it first started, it was a monster, and it was, oh God, such a pain. But the reason I started it was because I was spending hours a day, like more than 1 hour a day, looking for newsletter swaps on Facebook because, again, new author, have to beg and all that stuff. And it was just so time consuming to find swaps for the next month. And I was like, wouldn't it be nice if I just I tried to like create like RSS feeds, or I had no idea what I was doing, to gather this information from Facebook and be able to make some kind of list of swaps, and it wasn't working. And I was like, what if I just created a newsletter for newsletter swaps, and then like took basically the same posts that you find on Facebook. This is my cover, this is my blurb, this is the day I have available. Take that and send it to people's email. So that's basically what it is. I have people sign up with their newsletter swap information, like what days they have available, what the price of their book is, the cover of their book, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And it gets sent to you as a list from whatever genre you pick. So if you're a romance author, you get a list of 25 swaps in your email of different authors who are looking to swap with you, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is answer one by the fact that I can't explain it. Anyway, no. People have told me it's complicated, and as I sit here trying to explain it, I'm like, all right, maybe a little. But no, you get an email, you click on sign up for this swap, you enter the number of the swap that it was, and that person gets emailed letting them know somebody's looking.
Mm-hmm.
They can either accept or decline the swap after seeing the information, and then if they accept, it creates a Google Calendar event for both of you. That's it. And then you finally see each other's emails. This way, nobody sees anybody's email up until you're ready to accept. And it just condenses all the looking down, hopefully, into one email. I mean, people still have to use Facebook. I've only got a couple hundred authors that are looking for swaps right now, and all of them are tired of looking at each other's faces at the moment. So could definitely use some new signups for that.
Yeah.
With the giveaways and everything, it's just been hard to focus on both.
So I think one way I could think is you're kind of like a newsletter swap matchmaker.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but we don't force anything. There's
no. You're basically
we're Tinder for newsletter swaps. There you go.
Yeah, you're brokering it, and it's free. You're not charging anybody anything.
No, the whole idea of anything that we introduce, I want it to be free, because like 20 books to 50K. What made 20 books to 50K the group that it is now is this free exchange of information. Like you have $100,000 a year author versus brand new guy who just wrote his first book, and that to help yourself, and that never existed before anywhere. I mean, maybe on Facebook, I'm not sure, but 20 books to 50K is the only place I've ever seen it consistently, where there's just this freedom of information. Nobody's charging you for the secrets to the castle anymore. Mm-hmm. And that kind of community support is what really has built this indie author foundation that we have. I mean, we're taking over, man. All the top selling lists now, you can't throw a rock and miss an indie. So I think that if Art of the Arcane wants to be a part of that, then we have to have the same reciprocal altruism, that same attitude of it's free. Of course, I also need to stay in business. So there's the featured spots, and I just hope that people sign up for them. You know, it's like a sale like any other. Free to walk into the store.
Yeah.
And in my case, it's even free to walk out with some of the clothes. But, you know, for the special stuff,
yeah,
you pay for it, you know. Freemium. Well, it's like every phone game.
That like, and I'm always a skeptical guy. It's like, okay, when is he going to be asking me for money, right? Right? Because that's kind of the way people sell today. It's like, okay, I'm going to give you this thing for free. But it was very clear that like I didn't have to spend any money with you if I didn't want to.
No, and that's because I want brand new authors like you were. I want brand new authors to be able to not spend it. It's expensive enough publishing a book.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah.
So I don't think that a community of support should cost you anything.
Well, an important thing that I talk about, and I'd like to hear your opinion on this, is so like I really believe that the sooner you write a book and try and find an audience, the better it is for you, because one, you're going to learn if you can write a book, right?
Yeah.
And for me, when I did my fiction under a pen name, I needed to get a list so I could test that hypothesis, right? Like, will people read this book? And so I needed to get a couple hundred people to read my book for free before I worried about anything else. And I also think it is important for you to get that feedback right away, because not that I'm telling people to write to market, but those readers out there, they're really good research for you, right? Because they read a lot of books and they know what they like. And the more they can, not that they're going to tell you what to write, but they can inspire you to get a better book. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it absolutely makes sense. There's some shows, there's some shows on TV where I wish they had listened to some of the fan theories instead of writing their own ideas. Responding to your readers or your viewers or whatever it is, desires and what they want to see next in the series. Well, do you want to sell books or don't you? I don't want to compromise my story. You're not compromising your story. You're understanding that, the voice of 1,000 fans is louder than you're giving it credit for.
Yeah. Well, and to that point, like how can you get that as a new author? Well, this is
newsletters,
because you're targeting the audience that you want, right? Like your point, like you could theoretically, you could do this on Facebook or you could do it on Twitter, but you're going out into this gigantic ocean looking for a specific fish, opposed to newsletters where it's like, guess those are people that have self-selected into a specific genre.
Yeah, and they picked you.
Yeah.
You didn't pick them. They picked you. And that's really the only way.
Yeah.
You can go looking for your reader all you want. You will never find them. You go ahead and put out, do a group promo where 3 other authors have their subscribers exposed to you. They will choose you. That is the best way to find an audience. Let them pick you, because there was something about the cover, something about the blurb, something about the tagline, something about the title that appealed to them, that said, I might like this. So you're at least warm. You're at least warm. It's your job now to get them hot and make them buy it, but they were at least warm to start with. That's a good lead.
No, that's great advice. So if folks are going to look to use some of your services, where should they go? How should they?
artofthearcane.com.
Yep.
If you're an author, that's the best place to go. I mean, really, the giveaway pages only exist to have the readers show up. The entire site, for the most part, is geared towards authors. Great.
And as far as your own books that you're writing, is there anything you want to shamelessly plug?
Sad ranked 913,000th on Amazon. Yeah, sure. If you want to dig through the bargain pile. No, I'm kidding. I stopped advertising Dark Communion and the Apostate Prince. Those are my books. Dark Communion and the Apostate Prince, book 1 and 2. Book 3 is coming out in June. But I stopped advertising them. Right now I'm going to do a relaunch from something I saw on 20 Books to 50K. As a matter of fact, one of your other guests, Craig Martell, was talking about it.
Yep.
And I'm definitely going to do a relaunch. But if you, in the meantime, you want to check it out, Dark Communion on Amazon. The Apostate Prince is book 2 on Amazon, the God's War Chronicles. Of course, I think they're pure genius.
Well, when you go for the relaunch, we can talk about doing a newsletter swap.
Absolutely, man. That'd be great. That'd be great. You just sign up to Newsletter Swap Digest. I'll find you.
I think my book's on there.
Is it? I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep track, man. I've been going crazy. I haven't even had time really to write with what's going on with Art of the Arcane and now the GDPR changes and all that stuff. It's really been a challenge to find time to write, but it's really rewarding to help other authors too. And I think I put some favors in the favor bank for when my relaunch goes off, No,
I don't doubt that. And, it is an amazing time, this whole golden age of content creation, where we're in a position to be able to, if you've got a story and you can tell it, you can find an audience, right? Like you think about how powerful that is, how many gates have been destroyed by this kind of stuff.
The idea that the gatekeepers that allowed only the select few to finally publish a book have been cast aside, and now anybody can go ahead and publish a book. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, of course. There's a lot of stuff to sift through now, but at the same time, people keep saying we're in this golden age of indie writing, and while I don't disagree with the statement, what I will say is that I don't think we're there yet. I think that this revolution is in its infancy. Truly, I think we're all still trying to figure out, because there is no set way that it's done yet. There is nobody really knows what works anymore. Not really. We know that newsletters work. We know that group promotions and the AMS ads and all those things, they work. We know that. But there's no formula anymore. everybody has to kind of navigate those waters themselves at this point. Every book is different, every author is different, and there's no publishing company that just pushes the formula forward and watches it work or fail.
Say, okay, this is going to be the 5 steps to do this, and you're done. Your book's going to be successful.
But I think we're getting closer to it. I think that when we hit that golden age, there will be this established. I mean, right now there is no uniform way to do newsletter swaps, or uniform way to find them. Yes, it should be several different locations, but it really feels disorganized right now. Even AMS ads are still kind of in their infancy. There's a lot of complaints, a lot of problems with it. Even Facebook ads, all of these different services are relatively young if you think about it.
For sure. Well, and depending on which platform you're talking about, they're getting more and more saturated, right? So there's only a finite amount of space of ads that can be shown on those. And does that become noise that people just ignore?
Right. So like I said, I think we're coming towards this golden age. I don't know what it's going to look like when we get there, but this is the exciting part.
Mm-hmm.
We're laying the groundwork for that golden age that is really just over the horizon.
Well, my opinion on that is the one thing that you can be solid on that you don't that will be immutable through all of this is connecting with your audience.
Amen.
Right.
I agree.
And that starts, the newsletter is always going to be key to that, right? And how you use that, we talked a lot about the newbie and how do you get some names on a newsletter so that you can, get other newsletter swaps and find fans. But once you do have some kind of critical mass, it's really about nurturing your fans, right? You want to know if you have for argument's sake, you had 5,000 people on your list, it's probably 500 or 600 of those people on that list that are the ones that repeatedly buy your book, right?
Right.
And how you treat them shouldn't be how you treat the other 4,500 people.
Segmenting your list.
Segmenting and nurturing and, so that you're building that relationship, right? Because what I've told people that are like, hey, someday I want to make a movie, right? Okay, well, think about this. If you go to a movie producer and you have the most brilliant, beautiful script that's ever been written, but no audience.
Right.
Or you got a pretty good script, but you can talk to them about how you've got 20,000 fans that buy your book over and over and over again. That's the movie they're going to buy.
Yeah, that's more likely to hear
how many asses they can put in a chair.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. No, I agree 100%. I mean, even now with trying to get a book contract, if you go to the big publishers, they want to know how big your fan base is already.
Yeah.
Isn't that your job?
Not more.
But no, it's your job now. No matter where you go, if you're an indie or you go traditionally published, building that fan base is your job first. And newsletters, without a doubt, is the only consistent way that I've found. I mean, again, brand new author myself. But I've listened to the advice of the sages, and the newsletter list is the only real proven method of getting. I mean, there's this theory of your first 1,000 real fans or something like that. Getting your first 1,000 fans is the key to success. So finding those first 1,000 fans, the best way to do that would be through newsletter list. And of course, not that your newsletter list is now 1,000 subscribers, because realistically, out of those 1,000 subscribers, 60 of them, by percentages, 6% are actually fans. The click download stuff from your newsletter. So, you're talking a good number of subscribers to find your first real 1,000 rabid fans. I've noticed authors when they hit that threshold, when they hit around close to that threshold, like authors at 25,000, 30,000. Subscribers, they don't worry about selling books anymore. They just don't. I never hear them complaining about their sales. They may not be 6-figure authors, but I promise you they're doing all right.
Yeah.
Subscribers.
No, that's really good advice. So, thanks a lot, CJ. It's been awesome talking to you. And Art of the Arcane, if you're a new author and you're looking to get some help building your list, go check it out.
Be happy to have you. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, man.